sunlight begins to fade now, and I feel like I'm losing time, but I don't know how I'm here. The sunlight has turned to gray, and I feel like I'm losing love again. I don't know how I'm here. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel it somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel it somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe. And it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna need.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Simracersworld TV for round 3 of the SRW GT Pro Series here from Watkins Glen, one of the mainstays of road racing in America, and one of the tracks I really love, in the sense that it's one of the few real gems that we have left of old school motor racing. My name is Hasse, of course, and I am here with the talented young Jack Werrell. And Jack, I think I've made it a tradition as to ask for your expectations. I'm gonna do exactly the same here tonight.
No problem at all. Well, hello everybody and welcome to Watkins Glen, like what Hasse said, and expectations for this evening. It's a circuit that I think I've only commentated on once, so it's a circuit I'm not massively familiar with and the sort of racing you can get, because I don't have much driving experience around here either. But I do think sort of the opening stages of the race, so first sort of 5-6 laps will be very busy for everybody, and then once all the strategy is said and done, so both the pit stops that have to be made, I think that's when it'll start to heat up again, like what we saw at Monza. The first half of the race very busy for pretty much everybody, and then once everybody had got all the pit stops out of the way, going into the final couple of minutes of the race, it got really busy again. So I think that it's going to be a circuit that brings something new to the calendar as well, because we went to Sebring first, a very bumpy circuit, but the cars can really stretch their legs, and then we went to Monza, which is pretty much all straights with a couple of chicanes thrown in the mix, and this is a circuit with long sweeping corners, much like Monza, but it also has a bit of room for people to spread their legs, to stretch their legs, definitely not spread their legs, stretch their legs, pardon me, stretch their legs, so it's like a mix between Sebring and Monza. I'm just going to forget I ever said that. Oh god, this is only going out on the internet, Jack, well done.
Well, all jokes aside, I think you're very much correct on the fact that it's a much more balanced track than what we saw at Monza, and it's very much so going to be a big challenge to get around the first few laps here when traffic is tight. And by the way, let's go over to some live pictures from qualifying, as we are well into it already here. Oh, there it is. And with that, Joop de Ligt here, who has been a strong figure over the opening couple of rounds. And by the way, I realized that we might have a few bit of classes that aren't up to date, and we'll get that sorted as quickly as we can. So once we're really up and running here, by the way, a good warm welcome and a good evening to all of you joining in on YouTube, on Twitch, and on our Facebook channel here on Simracersworld TV. We are hugely excited. I've been waiting for this one now for 2 weeks, and I've been getting the excitement grows and grows and grows upon me. And frankly, Jack, every time we've had one of these races, the action has been so great, and I feel like we could have had the race on Monday instead of a fortnight on Sunday.
Oh, I wish it was. I wish it was tomorrow if we didn't have the GT Evo races, because we know how exciting these races can be, and they're full of action from start to end. And I really hope we're in for much of the same this evening. We've got lots of people in the chat supporting their teams. Bram van Outsven saying go Team Dynamics, Belgian Red Eagle saying go Flemish Sim Sports. So we've got lots of fans in the chat of all the teams. For example, at the moment, G-Drive, if you are a G-Drive fan, you're going to be very, very happy, because they have still got a provisional P1, P2 with Martin van Loosnord and Bram van Outsven. And then you go to a Manatee P3, P4, which is Job de Ligt and Johnny Verhoef. And then Jack Ashton, somebody who we've seen slowly start to pick up the pace, Season 6 champion for Team Fordzilla, has got himself up into provisional P5.
Jack Ashton, who's been, I don't want to say off the pace, but it seems he's been, I want to say, out of his comfort zone at least over the very first race at Sebring. He felt and looked like someone a lot more comfortable at Monza, and now, as you say, Jack, he's sneaking in to the top 5 here. So we're watching Martin van Loosenhoort, heavy in the traffic, but it seems very respectful attitude from the drivers that are on outlaps. Van Loosenhoort currently 2/10 up on teammate Bram van Putten, and it's a top 4 BMW. Yet again, BMW claiming top spots in this series, and they have been the strongest cars. It seems here Jack Ashton goes a little too wide. Or are they actually allowed to go out that wide? Because the car behind did exactly the same. I see Rømer out there on the and I have to admit, I'm not really too familiar here with Watkins Glen, and it's a bit of a shame. I've always loved watching the races from here because it's always action-packed, plenty of good overtaking opportunities. Plenty of good opportunities for racing in general, and we often have some very action-packed and dramatic races from here. But as I said, it's really not a place that I'm familiar going around myself, so I can only imagine what it's like here for Jack Ashton, having to really throw that Ford GT around. And a bit of talk about the Porsche 911 RSR suffering, and when looking down through the standings, it doesn't look too good, does it now? And actually, Jack, we've just hit the end of qualifying.
We have indeed, and literally on the last lap, Martin van Loosenhoort was out. He set the fastest time of the session, a 1:40.18, and that is 3.5 tenths quicker than his G-Drive teammate Bram van Putten. So a very, very good lap from Martin van Loosenhoort, 2-time previous champion. I think we've still got a car out on circuit, possibly Daniel Handover for Demon Tweaks. Let's see. There we go. We've got a camera angle on him, and that livery, it looks amazing.
It really does. As he almost pushed it too far. I actually think he did touch that outside wall ever so slightly, and that means it's going to be 24th for Daniel Handover. And with that, we should be about ready for a Jack Werrell read-through of the grid whenever it feels like it's ready to appear on our screens here. So just a short moment and we'll have the grid order ready for you. Qualifying always passing much quicker than I really anticipated to. I always feel like we have such a short time to actually introduce and everything, and I think it's something of a memo to myself for next time around that we gotta be right upon it, with qualifying this early on. So hopefully. Oh, by the way, actually, before we get too far in, we have a bit of standings. We can have a look at the championship standings. I think that's actually a pretty good time to do that whatsoever now here. Johnny Verhoef, after some really good results in front of Bram van Putten, Martin van Loosenhoort, Ferris Stanley, and Job de Ligt, Mario Juri, Rutger Weinen, Pim Bau, Alex Torres, and Daniel Handover. And they're within 100 points in the top 10, so it's all pretty much close in there. And there we have the grid order, and Jack ready to take you through it.
So Martin van Loosenhoort once again on pole position with a 1:40.183. His G-Drive teammate alongside him, Bram van Putten, followed by a Manatee row 2 with Job de Ligt and Johnny Verhoef. There, Jack Ashton with a very good qualifying, 8 tenths away from Martin van Loosenhoort though, lines up in 5th position, followed by the third of the Manatee cars, Rutger Weinen, in 6th position, followed by our gold pole sitter, the Monegasque of Ferris Stanley for HM Engineering, followed by Nicholas Last. Mario Juri lines up P9 with Robin de Ville for company. Then that rounds out the top 10. We'll rutter you through the last two. I do actually think we've got a full grid, so I don't think I need to rush through it as quickly as I was. We then go, yes, so Mario Juri, Robin de Ville, Diego Hames, Pim Bau, Tom Methrell, John Barnes, Sam Bentham and Bod Boland in 16th, Neil Cooper in 17th, Ryan Parkins in 18th, keep an eye on him. Keanu Bourguignon for Flemish Sim Sports on starts row 10, followed by Seb Herbert rounds out the top 20. Alejandro Torres lines up P21, followed by David Fuller. Martin van Rijwijk lines up P23, followed by Daniel Handover, and I think we might have just a few more rows to go. We do indeed. Dries Moonji lines up P25, followed by Javier Rodriguez, Sebastian Hawkins, Ryan Walker, Carl Sharkey, Austin Greatorex. Lots of Strasser Porsche Sport drivers out. Make sure you keep an eye on all of those guys because we know what they're like, as we have just come to the end of the Porsche Club Sim Racing Championship, so they'll have had extra time to practice. Continuing on though, P31 is Matthias Temme, then Marc-Antoine Thibault, Lee Diemer, Jeremy Hessels, Bart Daleman and Paul Gosling, and I think that might round out the grid. I don't think we've got any more drivers. We might just have one more. We do indeed. It's Dean Timms.
Indeed we do, Jack. And with that, we should be about ready to race here. The safety car is going to take him around for an entire lap here. One of the old school tracks in that sense of iRacing. All the newer editions have a warm-up lap point that's just like the one at Spa, coming into the final bus stop chicane. It's Max Verstappen in this split. Well, no, but one of his great playmates, and I don't know how else I could put it, but I know that Martin van Loosenoord has spent quite a bit of time driving with Max Verstappen. So it's not like the drivers that we have on grid on display here are completely strangers to that sort of level. And I think you'll see that very clearly for yourself once we get the action underway here. Because it has been worth watching the last 2 rounds here, the opening 2 rounds, to say the very least. It has been amazing. So another G-Drive 1-2, another top 4 for the BMWs. But we have seen, Jack, that over the course of the races, some of the other manufacturers have been able to kind of outclass the BMWs on race pace. We've seen the Ferrari of Ferris Stanley in the Monegasque, who, as far as I'm aware, has actually been moved up into the Platinum rankings, which, considering his pace, especially last time out at Monza, does make very good sense indeed. Here as they come through the bus stop. And we're still going to have a few more minutes to go here. Beautiful bit of fencing. And a nice stretch to the field. And Jack, you mentioned earlier that chances of incidents on the opening lap is indeed very high through turns 2 and 3. Those high-speed S's where, as far as I'm aware, you can basically go flat up through there. But the course narrows, and it's been the scene of some spectacular incidents here in iRacing in the past, hasn't it?
It really has. I think it's just the track at turn 1, like you mentioned. You can run wide, but only to a specific point. You go beyond that, then you will pick yourself up a 1x for the off track. But a lot of drivers, the preferred line, use all the curb and a bit extra, go out onto that concrete at turn 1. And then it's almost like a bit of a culture shock because you go into turns 2 and 3 and it's a very skinny circuit with no run-off. It's straight barrier. So I think that will possibly cause a bit of congestion on the opening laps of the race because everybody's raring to go. But we've got to remember it is a 90-minute race, so 1.5 hours of racing still to go. And if you're risking it all on lap 1, probably not the greatest idea. But these guys, like you say, they've already been in the championship for 2 rounds, 1 at Sebring and 1 at Monza, and we're now here at Watkins Glen for round 3. So let's see what happens. It really is quite a long warm-up lap, isn't it? 5.4 kilometers just for one warm-up lap, and we're about to go green, Hasse.
We are certainly getting closer and closer as we're into the final sector now. Just this final right-hander, and the pace car is gonna weave off to the right-hand side of the track. Now it's Martin van Loosenoord setting the pace. As many people might have found out, you need to be careful not to overtake the safety car, but let's see here. Is he gonna go early? Is he gonna wait for it? I think he's already gone, and it's green. And Martin van Loosenoord leads him away here for Watkins Glen. And look at Joop de Ligt there. He's already on the tail of Bram van Putten here, coming down. They're gonna be 2 wide into turn 1. The right-hander, he's on the outside. And Bram van Putten with a nice defensive move here. We're gonna have a look further down the field. This is Mario Yuri in 9th place, and the focus of our cameras. And incredibly, Jack, it seems like, I don't want to speak too early, they're up through turns 2 and 3. They've all made it.
Yeah, not quite what I was expecting to see, but everybody's still raring away. I think we've had a couple of changes of position further up. Pinbau's dropping down the order. He's actually working his way back up now, so I'm not quite sure what happened to Pinbau there. That's what happened. He couldn't make the chicane. He couldn't make the bus stop. Somebody else has also fallen foul of the braking chain. Matthias Temi's had an incident, so let's see what happened here. This is Pinbau going up towards the bus stop. He's on the inside, so I'm not quite sure how he managed to pull this up. Oh, there we go.
He's on the outside of Diego Hames there in the white Flemish Simsports BMW. It's white for some reason. I don't know if it's his livery. I tried to get the camera packs in because I saw his livery was white. I wanted it to be a beautiful Flemish Simsports livery, but wasn't to be, so we're gonna have to use our imagination there. There's a Ferrari moving up upon the inside of the Flemish Simsports Porsche. And that's, I think, is that Ferris Stanley battling it out? No, that cannot be. I think that's, that's of course our good friend Alejandro Garcia de la Mata Torres in the 34 machine up into 18th place, Jack.
He is indeed. The Zenith esports driver doing a good job, gained 3 positions already, and we've only just completed lap 1. Martin van Leeuwenhoek crossed the line now, and he's almost gone a second quicker already. And that gap really has started to stretch out to his G-Drive teammate. Look at the gap now. We knew the BMWs would be superior here and the Porsche would drop back, but at the moment, top 4, all BMWs. Then we get to the 4GT of Jack Ashton, then 2 more BMWs, Ferris Stanley in his Ferrari, then 4 more BMWs. So the BMWs and the Ford seem to be quite popular here. The highest placed Porsche at the moment is in 16th. That's the Flemish Simsports Porsche of Keanu Bourguignon.
Indeed, and here on board with Johnny Verhoef in the 93 machine. He's up in 4th place. And he's close to the tail of Joop de Ligt, who's putting on the pressure to the BMW of Bram van Putten. And yet again, the spicy end of affairs here is indeed a showdown between G-Drive and Manatee here, at least for the opening moments, with Jack Ashton there for Fordzilla, the reigning champ, getting in there yet again here. Ferris Stanley in 8th. That's certainly not bad. And yet again, at least after a bit of poor luck last time out at Monza, Niklas Last is up where he belongs as well, because he's been having as much bad luck as he's got good pace in the end, and it really hasn't materialized to any real kind of results. And in front of him at the moment is Rutger Weinen, and they're still very, very close throughout the field. And let's see. Look at this here, David Fuller. There's a big old bunch of cars here, and David Fuller for Quantum Racing is being overtaken, I believe, actually. That's one of those other cars. That must have been Neil Cooper ahead, and indeed it is now. It's one of these Simpac cars, and that's Martin van Rooijek with the Demon Tweaks car of Daniel Handover there to pick up whatever scraps might be. Too wide for a long time, and still they are here. Up to the S's. Oh, this is very close indeed. And this is one of those kind of situations that just makes you hold your breath for a moment as they come up towards the bus stop. This is far from over as Martin van Rooijek gets the job done, and he's up into the top 20.
He is indeed. Great move from Martin. The Team Simpac's car promoting himself, like you say, up into P20. And have another look at it here. The person I was looking at throughout all of this was Daniel Handover, because he was in the draft for a long, long while. And I thought he might just get the position, but he had to compromise his run in just to make sure that these two could work their way through. But then look at the gap Martin van Rooijek builds on the exit, and look how close David Fuller and Daniel Handover got. And Ryan Parkins is there to pick up everything. We've pretty much got a train going now. Leading that train by the looks of it is possibly Bod Boland, quite the way up the road in 15th. So it's going from 15th all the way down to 23rd. So almost 10 cars all in one train here. Although the leaders really starting to pull away with it at the moment. Both the G-Drive cars still P1, P2. Martin van Leeuwenhoek 1 second ahead of Bram van Putten, and then Joop de Ligt and Johnny Verhoef P3, P4. Jack Ashton still there in P5, and then we've got quite a big gap to Rutger Weinen for Manatee Racing, and then we get to quite a big train. Looking at the timing screen there, the closest people on the circuit at the moment is probably Ferris Stanley under pressure from Mario Yuri.
It's a great battle, Jack, indeed. So we're on to another lap here. We're 5 minutes into the race. And we've yet to see any major incidents, so that is very nice indeed. And we've had everyone surviving here. Mario Jury up towards the bus stop. He's up the inside. And Ferris Stanley concedes the position without any big sort of nail grabbing for the position there. I think that makes sense 5 minutes into a 90-minute race. Just to settle for it. It's a tactic that's worked wonders for Ferris Stanley over the opening 2 rounds here, and he's picked up a very good amount of points indeed. I hope the audio isn't too out of sync with the pictures. To be fair, I don't really know what we should be able to do about it if that's the case. So you sure it's not just me being out of sync? No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, good bit of battling here going on. Sam Bentham is also close to the BMW in front of him. And that's the car of Tom Methrel up in 12th place. And Jack, that's a pretty good position for Methrel to be in at this point of the race.
It really is. He's gained 1 position from where he started. The driver behind him, the person we're looking at the moment, Sam Bentham, in that very slidey Ford by the looks of it, has gained 2 positions. Then Bod Boland has also gained 2. Lots of green on the timing screen at the moment. Biggest mover in the field, Paul Gosling for Quantum Racing, right the way down in P27, has gained 9 positions. And then just a couple of positions ahead of him is Marc Antoine Thibault has gained 8 positions. So lots of movement. People that have lost out though by the looks of it. Javier Garcia Rodriguez has lost 5 positions, followed by Dries Muju. We hadn't really seen what happened to him, but it seems to be that there's been strife collected a little further down the order. Seb Herbera has also lost 6 positions, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to him. But not many crashes, just lots of lost positions.
That's very true indeed here. Oh, Mario Yuri. I think he just made the move on Rutger Weinen here. That's the battle for 6th place. Oh, that is indeed Weinen who goes off there and has a big old moment. He's gonna be happy to be let off the hook with a few positions lost there. Mario Jury for Sim Racing Academy. Now on the tail of Niklas Last, and look at the pace here of the Austrian. He's really caught up to his teammate well and surely over the last few laps. And they're still battling closely there behind as well. And speaking of battling closely, actually, Bram van Putten is not really able to put in that much time to Joop de Ligt, and the Manatee cars this time around looking like they really are the match for G-Drive. Of course, we had Johnny Verhoeven pick up a win, a very good win indeed last time around at Monza, and I think that they're trying to take the long game approach here. Johnny Verhoeven, knowing that the points offered by 4th place could be very good points indeed for him.
Good indeed. Look at this. Bram van Putten really under pressure from Joop de Ligt here. Joop has a look to the inside going up towards the bus stop. Didn't make anything of it there. Maybe that's just to fill his mirrors, show him that he's there, put him under that extra little bit of pressure. If these two come together, Martin van Loosenholt will disappear into the distance even more than he already has, and Johnny Verhoeven will pick up the pieces. So either way, a G-Drive car will make good, and so will a Manatee car. So I've got a feeling this was going to be a season-long battle between all 4 drivers, and we can't rule out Rutger Weinen. We've seen him have a couple of good battles. I haven't picked up the replay yet, so I'll let you talk them through it, Hasse.
Yeah, we've had a problem here for Seb Hawkins, and I don't know what happened there. That looked really strange for me, Jack. I had my mind focused on what was happening there because I just saw Seb Hawkins had an incident there, the Abruzzi Esports driver, and that was anything but lucky indeed. It looked a little strange to me. I think we'll just see if we can have a better look. Oh, so bad. What goes on there with the 46-year-one machine there, Jack? I'm a bit perplexed about the braking there on the exit of the corner, maybe trying not to get a 1x. Of course, there is a good point in that because we do have an incident point limit, and I do believe that point limit is 60. And drivers can pay off, you could say, some of their earned incident points over the seasons by sitting out a qualifying session. A qualifying ban is gonna earn you back some incident points, and there are some other ways you could gain back some of those incidents, because the thing is, if you do get over that incident point limits for the entirety of the season, you're gonna get banned, Jack.
You will indeed. Like you say, the 60 incident point limit is for the season, 25 incident point limit for each round, and a drive-through every 10 there, or a drive-through every 10. You can gain back 5 incident points for doing a minimum of 50 laps during the mid-week practice sessions. You can gain back 10 incident points for starting at the back, and you can gain back 20 incident points for starting in the pit lane. So lots of opportunities to make back any incident points gained, but so far it looks quite clean. It seemed like Monza, after talking to Jack Ashton at the end of the race, possibly Billy Fletcher as well, saying that he had picked up around 10 to 12 incident points just during Monza, which isn't necessarily the most challenging circuit in the world, and it's not the most renowned for off-tracks. So it will be good to see when people will start to take the opportunities they have available to them. We've got to remember the final round at Spa on November the 4th, so a very long way into the distance there. But that track is renowned for the amount of off-tracks that can be gained, and we can't just say, oh well, it's the last round, we'll let you off. You've got to make sure you finish that round below the 60 incident point limit. So I think that is going to be a very, very tricky track to master. But that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds away, and we've still got to focus on round 3 here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it's a long way away in the future indeed, and it's an interesting prospect to have in mind. It's kind of a competition within the competition to stay clean, and that, of course, might just give you the leeway later on to actually just be pushing ever so slightly. Imagine coming into the Spa round with like 5 or 10 incident points to spare, and everybody knows how quickly those can be picked up, especially at a track like Spa. So that's I think that's something that's worth having into consideration here. We're still watching teammates Niklas Last and Mario Jury. I was just about to say cruising around. It's probably more like they're hammering around Watkins Glen at the moment. They're trying to run away from Rütgerwein, and they're not really breaking away from the Dutchman of Manatee Racing. He was ahead until he made a bit of a mistake and caught it, but it cost him 2 positions in the end. We have had a double battle here between Dries Moody and Matthias Temme.
Let's see what happens here. This is going on the run up to the penultimate corner. Very little room between both of the Porsches. Dries Moody, the car in front, gets the position made. Going into the final corner, can the Fury Simsport car do anything about it? No, I don't think Matthias Temme can do much about it. But on the timing screen, it says Matthias is now in front. So let's see what happens going into turn 1. Whether Matthias makes the most of it and throws the car up the inside. Does he get it there? No, the gap is even starting to build. So I'm not quite sure what happened between this pair. But later on, it seemed like the position change going up through turns 2 and 3. Let's see what happened. And there we go. We go back round and go back live with him and then swap positions as I thought. So Dries Moody now behind Matthias Temme, and he's got a Dynamics car just behind him. So he swapped one Dynamics. He's got his Dynamics teammate behind him, Jeremy Hessels. So if Matthias Temme can successfully defend from Dries, I'm assuming Dries will let Jeremy by, and then he will shake off one Dynamics car and just receive another.
Yeah, that's going to be confusing indeed. I thought that was a 911 behind me. And all of a sudden it's going to be a BMW indeed. And also close at the moment, Austin Greatorex, and Paul Gosling in one of the few Ford GTs we have. Like it was a few seasons back when this car was a little bit more in its prime. But Paul Gosling here for Quantum Racing, currently 27th. And he's in a bit of a sandwich between Greatorex and Carl Schark here. Porsche Sport sandwich, if you will. They seem to be very orderly here. And oh, Matthias Temme, he's gone around. Matthias Temme, who was battling so closely before in here. Oh, he just picked up the inside curb. And you know what, Jack? Is that Ryan Walker who gets to know that's well, whoever that was. We'll have another look at this here on board with as he just clips the first curb. There isn't really much he can do, but he does. I think keeps it out of the wall pretty much indeed. And it was one of the it was the Dynamics Porsche there before of Dries Moody, I think, who did a brilliant job of not really collecting the crashing car right in front of him. And oh, there's been an incident for one of the Simpac Porsches as well. And this is not it. This is Ryan Parkins in behind here. Martin van Loos. Oh, that's Martin van Rømer. I'm sorry. And the car just breaks away from him all of a sudden. And he's having none of that. That's a straight tow back to the pits. That didn't look too good here. David Fuller now. Really, I thought that was one car, but that's actually two, but because it's David Fuller with the Demon Tweaks Porsche up towards the bus stop chicane, and the Demon Tweaks Porsche is on the outside. He's getting a bit of that Rosberg squeeze, and as I say that, David Fuller gives him a bit more space, and he keeps the position there from Daniel Handover. These were the cars who were right around Martin van Rømer when he lost his rear end, and they're now around 20th place. 16 minutes into the race, Jack, and I feel like once again it's going quicker than we really wanted to here. It's a second counts tenfold, and as you do when you have a good time, the races seem to be over so quickly.
They are indeed. It is going rather quick as well. But Sam Bentham here at the moment, he's in a Meraki Racing sandwich, and the battle we were just looking at, getting very close between Dan Handover. Just looking back, I'm looking at the timing screen, so I'm being slightly distracted by the Dynamics cars. They're still nose to tail. I'm not quite sure whether these two are going to start having an inter-team battle at any point, but Dries Moody and Jeremy Hessel still nose to tail, 2/10 separating them now. When I first looked, there was only 1/10 separating them. We've got a couple of battles going on up and down the order. We are getting a great view here aboard Bod Boland's Meraki BMW. You look up towards Sam Bentham, and you could see him mounting an attack on another Meraki BMW of Tom Metterell. We're now looking at David Fuller, looking back from David Fuller at Daniel Handover, and behind Daniel Handover he's got the attentions of Ryan Parkins. So 3 cars here separated by around 0.6 of a second, and look at how quick that Porsche is in the draft. It might not be the most favoured car here, but look at that overspeed he gets going into the bus stop. He decides better of it this time by. But I can't see this battle going anywhere soon, and like we've said already, as soon as 2 cars start a battle, well, that's what happens. David Fuller and Daniel Handover getting very close. I was about to say that Ryan Parkins is there to pick up the pieces, and he's picked up one of them. Ryan Parkins promotes himself up into P21. Let's have a look back. Look how close there was contact between the two of them. I didn't think there was on first glance, but Daniel Handover getting squeezed by David Fuller. Very, very scary place to have contact as well. One of the quickest corners on the circuit. Daniel Handover doing a great job of keeping it in a straight line. Next target for Ryan Parkins now is David Fuller.
Yeah, indeed. And Jeremy Hessel's now gotten passed on Dries Moody, so the battle you were saying that we shouldn't be looking away from you. Oh, that's very close indeed. Jeremy Hessel's in the BMW taking advantage of the straight line speed into the bus stop chicane. And he gets it done very well indeed. And Joop de Ligt has had a crash. And that's from top positions. Oh, there's carbon copy of what Martin van Rømer did, but he did it a bit earlier in the corner. And somehow, Jack, he's able to keep it out of the wall.
I'm not sure how he managed to keep it out the wall, but that was very, very close. The good thing is there, even if he did tap the wall, it's his tyre barrier, so it wouldn't have done major amounts of damage, but he has lost a lot of time. He's now 3 seconds behind his Manatee teammate of Johnny Verhoeven, and if he's not careful, if he starts to fall out of the rhythm he was in, Jack Ashton for Team Fordzilla is just there behind him, and look how close Marius Uri is. Look at that train behind him. Mario Uri followed by Nicholas Last and Rutger Weiden. So the top 8 pretty much still all but settled at the moment. The only positions that are secure, I would say, are the top 3. Martin van Loosnol, Bram van Putten and Johnny Verhoeven, pretty much a carbon copy of what happened at Sebring.
Very much so it is, and good job here from Mario Uri. He started in 9th place, he's up into 6th. He's gotten past his teammate as well. Oh, and I think that there's been a bit of a funky situation for Jeremy Hessels. Oh, he went past Thibaut, Marc-Antoine Thibaut, who was off the course there. He then rejoined. And it looks as if Jeremy Hessel had a bit of an incident of his own. Oh, that's it. Oh, that's relatively undramatic though. That's good to see. Hessel's now in 27th. I believe one of the drivers that started from the pit lane. Still, we have that close battle. Positions 5, 6, 7, and 8 with Jack Ashton, Mario Jury, Niklas Last, and Rutger Weinen. And it seems to me, Jack, that they're not really going full out hammer and tongs for the battle right now, but they're really trying to settle in, maybe trying to keep their distance to the front end of the field. Of course, they don't want to lose too much time on the top runners battling it out here. You know, there are several pit stop rounds coming up as well. Oh, that's 65% of a fuel tank there, and that's Mario Jury who's flashing Jack Ashton there for something. And never mind that I know what. I have no clue what that was all about. He might be feeling a little bit held up. Mind you, Mario Jury's been on very good pace here. He might be feeling that he can get up there and mingle with the manatees.
Yeah, that is the pace he's got. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on him because the Sim Racing Academy Austrian driver looking very close. That's a Quantum Racing 4GT going very slowly. That was John Barnes. Let's see what happens to John.
Here is watching Neil Cooper and John Barnes. He just goes wide, picks up a bit of grass there on the exit, and loses a position in a battle that was close already when we went into that there. That's the position 16 battle between Alejandro Garcia de la Mata Torres, Neil Cooper, and John Barnes. And you know what? Alex Torres, if you will, he's gone up a good deal of positions as well. He started 21st. He's in the 16th now, of course, and making progress. It's been steady, and one of the drivers that's been good for gaining quite a number of positions here over the first 2 rounds as well. So an interesting driver to watch, and of course a name that rolls off the tongue so well indeed. Further down, it's Daniel Handover on the tail end of Mr. Fuller's Quantum Racing 4GT here down towards turn 1. They come in. It's gonna be a set that's very indecisive as well from Daniel Handover. He has a big old look. He doesn't really commit to any kind of move, and they both get a scruffy exit. And Jack, those kind of moves in the end are often the one that causes incidents, those type of incidents at least, because it's you know, the driver on the in front, the driver on the outside is sort of expecting it, then it doesn't really come, and he's like, oh, we're gonna take the corner, and then, oh, and as I'm talking about it, they make contact at the bus stop, and they're both spinning around, and Daniel Handover's made contact to the wall. And that's in no way what we wanted to see here. A second view on the slow-mo cam here, David Fuller. A great picture, by the way. I'm glad we got that running for the couple of drivers who had their picture uploaded to the overlay software we were using here. A bit of a sorry and silly incident there for those two. And I think we can go out of the replay mode. Thank you. That's better. So a bit of an incident, a bit of bad luck here, and ahead of these it's Paul Gosling and Seb Hebera battling it out as well, just half a second from one another. Tom Methrel is still going at it with Bud Boland, and I think the Manxman is beginning to get the better of his teammate, because he's been closing in over the last couple of laps, and he is one of the high movers as well here. Bud Boland, 3 places has he gained, but it's at the spicier end of affairs, and look at the speed he's carrying up through the S's. He's gonna have a huge run on the outside. Tom Methrel, Bud Boland, what's it gonna be here? They're gonna be I think they're gonna have to be careful, and just as I say that, Bud Boland goes straight across the grass, and that might open up the door to Sam Bentham, and maybe Jack Werrell can talk us through exactly what happened here.
Yeah, I think that was just teammates trying to be too nice to each other. Bud Boland not wanting to make contact with his teammate. He has lost a position out of it to Sam Bentham, like you mentioned, but he's very close at the moment. I'm just looking on the live timing. Sam Bentham, well, he was very close, but I'm not quite sure what happened to Bud there, because he seemed to lose a lot of time very, very quickly. but by no means is has he been left behind by Sam Bentham. Here's the overtake, so Bod Boland much slower, losing all that momentum after going on the grass. Very brave stuff from Sam Bentham round the outside. Great move around the very long right-hander. And now look who's very close to the tail end of Bod Boland is Pim Bao, somebody we haven't seen much of, but the third of the G-Drive cars up into P15. He actually started in P12, did Pim Bao, but he's started to drop back, looking to make up all those positions he lost. The first driver for him will be Bod Boland, but at the moment, nothing such has come around. Look how close Austin Greatorex and Dries Moosdi are. They are side by side at the moment, and I think Austin Greatorex has got in front for Strasser Porsche Sport, so I'm sure Porsche Sport in chat will be very happy that Austin Greatorex has picked up yet another position. Here is the overtake, side by side, still round the right-hander, and I think, yeah, that will very quickly turn to the inside, up the hill, towards what is quite a tricky left-hander, basically a blind apex. Austin Greatorex up the inside and picks up the position. Speaking of Strasser and Porsche Sport, we must take the time out to thank our sponsors. We'll give it a moment though, because Austin Greatorex, as he's just made the position, Dries Moosdi up the inside, still side by side. Great defending from Austin Greatorex. I'm not quite sure how he held the momentum around the outside, going into turns 2 and 3 up the hill. They're still side by side. It looks like Dries has got the preferred line and that extra little bit of momentum, very close to the wall with Dries Moosdi. I was expected to see him in the wall there. They're just about still overlapping. Austin Greatorex, does he have the time to tuck into the draft? He can at the moment, going into the bus stop. Austin Greatorex loses out once again, but Dries Moosdi not willing to lose a position this early on in the race, gets back by and promotes himself up into P28. But back to our sponsors, we must take the time out to thank them. Dynamic Simulators, Porsche Sport, Strasser and Abruzzi. We must say a massive thank you to you for making this happen. But Strasser Porsche Sport, I'm sure they're squinting at the moment because they don't want to see how close these two have got. But Austin Greatorex demoted back down into P28.
Huge battle before there indeed. Here is Alex Torres now defending from Neil Cooper. And another one of the 911s who certainly seem to be better on race pace than they were on qualifying, because they were all way down the field. And what we're seeing here is they're actually beginning to pick up the pace and beginning to look more and more competitive here. And the Fury Sim Sports car is certainly not hanging about here. He's having one of these kind of indecisive looks, trying to pressure Alex Torres. Or Alejandro Garcia de la Mata Torres, if you will. But it's not always you have the time for the long explanation. I kind of want to say. Sometimes you want to go the quick way around. And speaking of the quick way around, let's see if he can get enough of an overlap here into the bus stop, but it's not really looking like it. Alex Torres late braking there, and you can see, oh, he almost loses it. Jack, that's very well driven indeed there. Oh, and Lee Demers had an incident.
He has indeed. Does he straight line the chicane? I haven't got the replay just as yet, so I'll let you talk them through it.
Yeah, Lee Demer picks up a bit of grass there on the outside, straight into the wall, and he's back and running, but no doubt that's going to be a bit of damage for him after that incident, and he's back into the pit for repairs. And we have a very close battle here for 5th place, as Mario Jury is now really closing in on Jack Ashton. And it seems Jack Ashton in the Ford GT might be suffering a little bit on the pace side of things. He was there for qualifying, but it's not really sure that the Ford GT really is able to hold up from the 3 BMWs. 2 of them from the Sim Racing Academy, and then the Manatee racing car of Rutger Weinen, who's still there in 8th place. Very consistent and very persistent from Finn, just to stay up there. He doesn't want to make any more mistakes. Mind you that Rutger Weinen lost time on one of the opening laps of the race. And by the way, Jack, we're half an hour through proceedings now, so it's really beginning to stretch out, at least in certain parts of the field, because it's certainly not applying to these guys. It seems they've never really been stretched more than half a second or so. Look at Rutger Weinen getting very close to Niklas Lass, who gets the great exit though on his teammate Mario Jury, who all of a sudden, oh, this is getting spicy indeed. And the pressure is off of Jack Ashton for a short moment. He's gonna enjoy that for sure, because it's been building and building and building over the last couple of laps here. Mario Yuri still doing his best to defend his position. We go on to the wing cam. The rear wing cam, if you will. This is like 3 BMWs within the space of 3/4 of a second. Absolutely incredible to see. And Mario Yuri defending well as well.
Just looking at it now, Rutger in 8th position, looking to make amends for those lost positions. He lost 2 positions where he started in 6th place. Now down in 8th position is Rutger, and we've had a change for position a little further up. Jack Ashton losing lots and lots of positions there, lost 3 positions in the space of 1 corner. Let's have a look back just to see what happened there. But Mario Yuri throws himself up into P5, Nicholas last into P6, Rutger making up one of the positions he lost, now into P7, and Jack Ashton all the way from P5 right the way down into P8.
That's disastrous stuff there for Jack Ashton. Let's have another look at it. It goes way wide and there's really going to be any space to rejoin. Look at those behind. They squeezed in 3 wide through very little space and they managed to do so without getting in wrong. So, all power to you, I want to say. Ryan Walker's in the pit lane. And I'm just thinking if we go on board here with Rutger, we're gonna get that 3 wide. A short moment, almost 3 wide there. So it might have been a bit early on calling it 3 wide because it actually wasn't. And the battle though still going on. I'm sorry, Jack. Go on.
I was just about to say, but Rutger, he may have picked up the position, but he's in danger of losing it because Jack Ashton, I'm sure he's furious with himself for making that little mistake now, going through the closing stages of what is lap 18 for this 4-car battle. But look who's just behind them, Robin DeVille, the Flemish Simsports BMW. We haven't seen much of him all stream. He's had a very under-the-radar performance and he's slowly working his way up. He's only gained 1 position from where he started, but that's all he needs to do, pick up the positions here and there. And look how close he is to Jack Ashton now. He's well within draft range. So this has gone from a 4-car battle almost into a 5-car battle, I'm sure, within the space of a couple of laps. And with the pit stop said and done, Robin DeVille will be in front of all 4 cars ahead of him because he has been the most consistent driver of all of the 150, possibly the quicker one. That's very sideways.
Oh, and he's picked up Robin DeVille as well. Just as we mentioned that he was coming up, Rutger, and I just saw him pick off the inside. You can see it. We'll see if I can get a little further down on something earlier there. Might that be a possibility? As you can see, Rutger, he just tipped into the wall and then a big crash between the two. That was a huge bit of contact. A lot of the front end is now missing from Robin DeVille's car. It's gonna cost him a big load of time as well. Just carrying around that onto the pit stops, and that was very unlucky indeed. That was very unlucky indeed. And we've seen other drivers being very close to picking up just the tiniest bit of that wall that seems to just stick out a little bit on the right-hand side of the track there as you come around turn 3. And this time it didn't go all well for Pim Bauer.
Do have our leaders in the pits though. Pretty much everybody in the top 8 is in the pits. Martin van Loosnord, Bram van Putten, Johnny Verhoef, Job de Ligt, Mario Yuri, Nicholas Lash, Jack Ashton, Ferry Stanley, Diego Hames, Robin DeVille, Sam Bentham's dived into the pits as well. It sounds like a car in the background, possibly a Porsche. It's quite an unmistakable scream. Was spluttering, so whether somebody has forgotten to go into the pits or not, but we've got to remember, as who was it that had that big incident? Robin DeVille. He does have a fast repair to take. You are permitted 1 fast repair throughout the entire race. That's somebody off and spinning just in front of Martin van Loosnord. He got it back underway again. It was a Ford of some sort. Let's try and figure out who it was. It could have been David Fuller. No, it won't be because it wasn't a Quantum Racing Ford.
One of the Ford Silas. I'm thinking it might have been, but I'm hardly even able to find it because everyone's exiting the pit lane right now. And there's a whole lot of stuff happening. Robin DeVille, as you said, of course, he did have a fast repair, and that's going to be his savior. And it was, of course, Rutger Weinen and not Pimbao before. Jeremy Hessels is in the pits as well now. He'll be exiting here. Oh, that's a big run now for... Is that Bud Bolin on the outside of Robin DeVille into the bus stop? It is, but there's no more than just a look. We're going to be... keep on going at it there. Robin DeVille actually still in 11th place, although, of course, he's lost a few positions. He was in that battle for 5th. And by the way, speaking of that battle for 5th place, look at this. Mario Jury on the pit stops has gotten past Niklas Last, gotten past on Jack Ashton as well. Of course, that would make very much sense because I should remember Rutger Weinen just had that big incident moments ago. So that's, of course, the reasoning behind that.
Like you say, Mario Yuri, I'm not sure whether that is the correct classic or not, but at the moment, going off what we do, or the information we have available to us, he is the lead gold driver. Ferry Stanley, somebody who has just changed from gold to platinum, is right the way down in 8th position, so not quite what he was looking for, the HM Engineering Monegasque. After such a standout performance at Monza, he will be looking for a better result here, or an even better result here at Watkins Glen. He's chasing down Jack Ashton. Jack losing a lot of positions, 4 cars all in the space of 1 corner. Let's see how he takes turn 1. Ferry Stanley gets through and Jack Ashton does just the same. It seems like everybody's pretty much got turn 1 nailed, but we are only 37 minutes into a 1 hour 30 race. There's still lots of action to go, around 52 minutes left, and another pit stop as well. We can't forget, 1 more pit stop still to be taken by everybody. And with that 1 fast repair that Robin DeVille has taken, he's got to be extra careful and extra cautious because he does have no more options no other ways out. If he has an incident, there's no fast repair. He does have to sit and wait for all the repairs to be completed, and he's got to keep an eye on his incident limit because that crash won't have done him any good. At least a 4x, possibly even more if he went off track a little later on due to the damage. But Robin DeVille has gone from great to, well, not that great, although he is back up and fighting in 11th position. That won't be where he was expecting to be. He was looking good for a top 5.
Yeah, he was indeed, and it's always such a shame to see those kind of incidents happen. And Christian, though, I think still has the chance to come back and fight for it. And I think very much a case of whether the 2 Sim Racing Academy BMWs are going to be fighting it out there for 5th place as well. Now looking at Ryan Parkins, our Porsche Club GB champion here. He's up into 17th place now, battling Neil Cooper in another one of the 911 RSRs, and I think actually this is the battle of our top running Porsches at the moment, P16 and 17. That does say a fair bit about the BOP that they're suffering with the poor Porsche 911s at the moment. They really aren't being raced too much in the official races, and those that are racing here are indeed feeling it at the moment, so they'll be hoping for a bit of more luck on the BOP side. But mind you, Jack, it hasn't been too long since the Porsche 911 RSR was a go-to car for everyone racing GTs and iRacing. So I think it's also nice to see that the BOP kind of waves a bit back and forward. There's that bit of wall that just, let's see how it comes toward the track, and it's easy to see how Rutger Weinen could just have tapped it ever so slightly. Neil Cooper getting defensive here into the bus stop. He's laid on the brake, and Ryan Parkins is going to be aiming for the exit, although that bus stop, the exit, not really that important because it's not really flat out until you get the exit from down here. And even here on the way down to the left-hander here, it's kind of the technical section of the track. Ryan Parkins is doing very well, though, to stay within touching distance. We're having a close battle here a bit further down the way as well between Marc-Antoine Thibault, who's now chasing Carl Sharkey. And I think in front of these is Javi Rodriguez, and Daniel Handover Jack is down here in 28th place as well.
Yeah, I did think that Daniel Handover had an incident. I saw him dropping down the timing screens, but I did assume he might have just gone into the pits, but that doesn't seem to be the case. He has only been into the pits once, and he's lost the position. Look at Carl Sharkey looking at the inside of I think that was Javier Garcia Rodriguez from VRO. He had a look at the inside, but he's compromised his line in. Look how close.
That's Jeremy.
There's Jeremy Hessels.
Jeremy Hessel's a dangerous place to be as he spins it there on the outside, collects the wall. Hopefully he's going to have a fast repair to take care of that. But look how, oh yeah, he's trying to get back on track. He thinks better of it. And all of a sudden comes the battle up there. Oh, and he must have been a scared man. Does well not to put on the track though, and not to, in the words of Lance Stroll, just come back on the track like an idiot. Of course, do the very same thing right behind. That goes to say that that whole situation so comical, wasn't it, Jack? But anyways, let's stay with the racing here. Bad luck for Jeremy Hessels. He's now in behind Thibaut, Sharkey, and Handover. Indeed, he did start from the pits. He's picked up a few positions. 4 cars, it seems to me, has retired. At least we've got 4 cars not running at the moment. The Tims is still out there in the 46 Year 1 Ferrari. Although it seems his evening here has been a little less than enjoyable. Austin Greatorex is currently exiting the pit lane. And Robin DeVille is less than half a second in front of Bart Boland, the Manxman. Still on the chase.
I think Austin Greatorex has just had an incident, hence why he's leaving the pits. I think he popped up on the event viewer, Hasse, so we can have a look back just to see what happened. Oh, that is the final corner, and it does look like he did have a bit of an incident with the wall as well. Apparently he's had another incident since then as well. Let's see what happened. Does he grab the wrong gear, over-rotates it, hits the grass, he goes straight on into the wall. That's a massive hit, bounces off it.
That looked very strange to me, Jack. That looked like some kind of, I don't know if that was kind of hardware failure maybe for Austin Greatorex or something, because usually, you know, the cars turn. It could also be that he just picked up the inside curb there. But I'm not quite sure as to what exactly happened here. Sam Bentham is close indeed with the G-Drive BMW of Pimbao, who's now got a very good run on the Ford GT down towards the bus stop. Here it's going to be a move or a big old look at least. No, it is going to be a passing move for Pimbao up into P13, getting that done very nicely indeed.
It was indeed textbook move, but Porsche Sport in chat saying Austin has suspension damage and the fast repair didn't work, so that might be why we saw him in the pits a couple of times. Pimbao now up the inside, going into the bus stop late on the brakes and gets the move done, uses all the curves he can. And the BMW, it just seems to be balanced pretty much everywhere. It was very good at Monza, very good on the straight, even with the very large front end profile of that car. And in the corners, it just seems so much balanced than every other car. It's got the weight, but it can control it beautifully. And it seems like it's got the far superior grip over every other car. We're now looking back from Robin DeVille, who, by all means, he hasn't had such like a massively bad race. He's lost 1 position, and even with that massive incident just a little earlier on, it doesn't seem to have affected him because he's got back in a rhythm, and he is lapping quicker than everybody else around him. He lapped 3/10 quicker than Tom Metherell in front of him on the lap prior, and by just about a 10th quicker than Bart Boland behind him on the lap prior. So Robin DeVille, even with that incident, he's continued on and he's going quicker than ever.
Yeah, indeed, and he's looking pretty good there on pace. Running well into the 43s here. Pimbao on a good pace there, 43.2. And Jack, I think we owe the I think we owe the viewers a bit of a look at what's going on at the head of affairs. And I know we always say, and also when we're talking about how are we going to do this broadcast, we always talk about the broadcasting team in between us. Oh, we got to remember to show the battles lower down the order, and we got to make sure that it's the action we're seeing and not just the leaders. And sometimes I feel like we forget to show the leaders, especially because at some of these races it's been very smooth sailing from some of these guys, and for Martin van Loosenoord, from Bram van Putten, and for Joop de Ligt as well. So far this race has really been one of these. Of course, Joop de Ligt had a bit of a moment there early on. He seems to have recovered very well, and he's gotten ahead on Johnny Verhoef as well. But from him down to Mario Jury, it's just under 6 seconds. It's really not that much battling going on, and it seems it's stretched out behind Niklas Last now, who's still on the tail of his teammate. And Jack Ashton not really able to pick up the pace and keep it up with the two Sim Racing Academy BMWs. But mind you, in behind now is Ferris Stanley. He's now coming in to haunt the rear end of Jack Ashton. You can just see him up ahead. There's a couple of seconds still. Let's see the pace for Ashton there of 43.1. So Jack Ashton really proving me wrong. Proving that he certainly has the pace here to gain position still in this race.
Does indeed. Just look at that top 6, all BMWs, and then from 9th to 13th, all BMWs once again. It seems like BMWs are pretty much magnetised together, and one thing I do like about having the logos on the left hand side is you can see where the highest placed Porsche is. 16th at the moment. That's Neil Cooper, and like you mentioned, he's got the attention of Ryan Parkins behind, Porsche Club Sim Racing Series champion. And he's looking to pick up another position here, going around the outside into the bus stop. Clever driving from Ryan Parkins. Decided the move wasn't necessarily the safest and didn't really present itself where he wanted it to. So Ryan Parkins pulling out of the move, the number 225 Porsche. Still sitting there in 17th position. Neil Cooper not having to do much about defending his 16th position at the moment. Quite happy just to continue on, keep churning out the laps. I think if I was Ryan Parkins, I'd be quite happy just to sit on the tail end of Neil Cooper. Maybe let him know in the chat and just continue on, keep on working together and saving time, and see if they can make inroads to Alejandro Garcia de la Mata Torres ahead.
There's another thing to our Alejandro Garcia de la Mata Torres counter that Porsche Sport were talking about at the start of the broadcast. But it is, I have to say that we've mentioned it several times for every broadcast we've done here, Jack, but it's such a great name, just rolls off the tongue like nothing else I've ever heard. Ryan Parkins is really pushing Neil Cooper there. You can see how the car of Neil Cooper, this 911 RSR, is really rotating it a bit more than Ryan Parkins seems. Parkins' car might be a little slower in that sense, but it's also a little more settled, I think. And it seems to me that Neil Cooper's car is very much on the edge all the time here. Someone's in the pit as well here. Need good fuel saving from Ryan Parkins. They need to get inches away from that wall sticking out there. I just get, it goes, I gotta get, my heart gets up my throat every time I see him come so close. Yeah, guys, be careful, but I know they got it. I know they got it. Oh, Jack Ashton, what's going on here? Jack Ashton gets very slowly from that exit, and I want to see what happened here, because he was going super slowly around that corner. Then Ferris Stanley comes up along there, but he's got the outside for this corner. And I wonder if Jack Ashton's going to be able to actually defend it, or the Ferrari's going to get the better of him. Still side by side they were for a long time before the Monegasque pulling out of it victoriously. He gains that position, and that means Jack Ashton now back into 8th place. The two Manatee drivers, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I'm sorry, are both in the 42.8s, and then the following cars are up into the 43s. So you really see a bit of a pace difference from the top 4 and to everyone else at the moment. Keanu Borgagnon is very, very close to Seb Hebera, I think it is, in the SRW Esports car, the number 42 machine here. Seb Hebera, our wonderful admin as well, a go-to guy if you need any sort of info or anything pushed through in the series as well. I think Seb would be a good guy to go to. Let's go on board with him for a moment as he's trying to run away. I think that's gonna help him a bit here as Keanu Borgagnon goes way wide there on the exit of turn 1, Jack.
It does indeed. Doesn't look like he was massively comfortable with the car going into turn 1. But look at all that time he's lost. He's now out of the draft as well. 1.5 seconds is the gap between Seb Hebera and Keanu Borgagnon now. We're now looking at Alex Torres going through that very quick round. And there's a Ford in the middle of the road. That was 3 wide through there. I'm not sure who that was. It looked like Lee Deemer, possibly. Let's have a look to see who it was. We'll get a better view from here. Going to slow motion, it was Lee Deemer, the Excite car. Alex throws it to the inside, picks up a position through all of that. Sam Bentham in the Ford on the outside lost out and made the wrong move going around Lee Deemer. But quite an odd incident there. I'm not quite sure what happened to Lee, but not necessarily the best place to slow down. Whether he's got an incident with the car or an issue with the car, but he's continuing on, but at pretty much half race pace. Not quite sure what's happened there. And I'm just sat there thinking this is very much like what we actually see here at Watkins Glen, not recently due to obvious reasons, but the IMSA WeatherTech Championship comes here with very similar cars, and it is great to see how close iRacing can really get to it. But something that I think would be good to see is much like in real life, because we get the NASCAR Cup Series and the Xfinity Series all come here to Watkins Glen, so it's got the pedigree for big events. It'd be good to see GT3s here as well, so maybe that'll be a wish for the future. But we still have a race going on apparently. I'm not quite sure where that's come from, but apparently we do have a race going on, Hasse. And Tom Methrel's still leading, Alex Torres, then Sam Bentham and Neil Cooper just behind. Ryan Parkins is looking to get in on the mix as well.
Indeed, and John Barnes is only a couple of seconds back as well, so this could quickly escalate into a very big train if they decide to get heated up here. 15 minutes into the race, so we're just a few minutes away from the final round of pit stops. We're expecting it to go just over the hour here, and I think that's Alejandro Garcia de la Mata Torres was really having to defend. That's Sam Bentham though, I think, in the Ford, so I'm not sure if it was Lee Deemer. I don't think it was. I think it was very much, it is indeed the 89 car of Sam Bentham here in the Ronin Simsport Academy. Of course, be wrong on the fact that it could have been Lee Deemer being involved with it before, because that was indeed an Excite car. So again, as I often do, Jack, I made another prophecy that immediately turned out to be wrong. Of course, Sam Bentham was a part of the squabble there before, but he wasn't going slowly. But it's very close here now, and this race is really heating up here. Tom Methrel still with a little bit of breathing space, but Alex Torres really is feeling the heat by now, I think. And both Neil Cooper and Ryan Parkins is coming in to join the party. And they're going to make this three-way into a five-way, and that sounds funky indeed, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. Well, it's all going on today because I got my words mixed up towards the start of the stream, which didn't exactly go down well, and then you've just done exactly the same. But Ryan Parkins, we're looking at now, up into 17th position, chasing down Neil Cooper. So the two lead Porsches, Fury Simsport versus Strasser Porsche Sport at the moment, just ticking past the 53-minute mark. And these two have been stuck together for a long while of the race. We're now looking back from the Zenith Esports car of Alex Torres, the number 34. The Spaniard having to defend hard behind the wheel of his Ferrari. Look how much closer Sam Bentham gets in the corner. It looks like the Ford is possibly the car to have on the brakes and in the corners. Look at that gap. It's not like Alex Torres is having to put any massive strain on the car. The Ford just seems to ease its way around. He's getting ever closer. We'll have a look into the right-hander now. Look how close Sam Bentham is, basically on the rear bumper, but it looks like the Ferrari maybe gets the better run coming out of the corners. So it's very much a tit for tat at the moment. Sam Bentham getting very close though, so going into the 1 hour mark very, very shortly. I'm guessing Sam Bentham might just be able to pit Alex Torres before the second of the pit stop. Tom Methrel sideways.
Tom Methrel has gone all the way around, entering the final sector. That rear end begins to slide, and you know what? He just about manages to stop it, and then he actually says, you know what? I'm gonna go up against the wall anyways. But that Tom Methrel, he was sitting 13th. Now he's lost 5 places, and that's of course natural given that they were so close to him behind. It's a bit of a lucky break for Mr. De La Mata Torres, Senor Torres, if you will. He's now up into 13th, and from his starting position of 21st, he is one of the high risers in the field alongside Marc-Antoine Toubeau and Paul Gosling. He's gone up 11 places as well, so the very good stuff from him. Now it's getting very close here. Sam Bentham, I think he's defending from Neil Cooper very much to the inside there. He's really blocking off the 911 RSR, and you can just see how Alex Torres is gaining, and he's not just gaining a little bit, he's gaining big time every time they start squabbling. And at the same time as well, Ryan Parkins is licking his lips because chances are that when they're this close ahead, opportunities arise all of a sudden. And he's shown already plenty of times today he is a man for the challenge. Ferris Stanley is now with company from Diego Hames in the, for some reason, white Flemish Sim Sports BMW, because I think that livery has worked before. It's not the only Flemish Sim Sports BMW. We've seen it work for one of the other drivers as well. Of course, I could be wrong. But Diego Hames has done a good job of putting on the pressure. And Jack Ashton, by the way, has gotten passed through on Ferris Stanley as well. So a bit of a return here from Jack Ashton, who on his last lap was a second and a half faster than the Monegasque as well. So no wonder he's got ridden past. And I think Ferris Stanley, Jack, is suffering on his tires right now.
I think so as well, because he's started to lose a lot of time very, very quickly. It just seems like he's lost all race pace that he was looking for. There is the gap between the pair of them. Diego Hames very close to the tail end of Ferris Stanley at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if the position change happens in the next couple of laps. But the leaders, Hasse, are just disappearing into the distance. Martin van Loosnold 6 seconds ahead of his G-Drive teammate, Bram van Putten. Bram van Putten 8 seconds ahead of Joop de Ligt, and Joop de Ligt 5 seconds ahead of Johnny Verhoef. And Johnny Verhoef 8 seconds ahead of Mario Uri. I'm not quite sure what's happened to this race, because every other race prior to this, rounds 1 and 2, this is the position change between Jack Ashton and Ferris Stanley. But every race prior to this, rounds 1 and 2 specifically, the leaders seem to be battling nose to tail throughout the entire race. But there's something about Watkins Glen which has just separated them all.
Yeah, indeed, and it's been a split that we've seen a bit further up than the last couple of rounds. But yet again here, Mario Uri, Niklas Last, still very close to one another. I think go a little bit back there, the battle between, well, actually, saying that, here's Robin DeVille, Bud Bolin in behind, Pim Bao has gained a bit of position, and then Alex Torres, he has gained a little bit of time there on Sam Bentham, and then the 3 cars are still close in behind with Sam Bentham. One of them, of course, the 2 911s of Neil Cooper and Ryan Parkins, still also very close indeed. Diego Hames is in the pits. Well, that isn't really showing us a lot, is it?
Mario Uri though, still in 5th position. The Austrian driver doing a great job defending from his Sim Racing Academy teammate. Look at how close these two are now. Sam Bentham on the inside, defending from Neil Keeper just about though. It seems like the inside line going through the bus stop is the preferred line, although it does change to the outside very, very quickly. But the 4GT of Ronin Simsport Academy not willing to give up to the Fury Simsport Porsche. And once again, I bet if we go on board with Ryan Parkins, he's got the best view of this, although he is still trying to get in on this battle at very similar timings between all of them. And Porsche Sport in chat saying it's okay guys, we can have our own mini Porsche championship. And the way this is going, it seems like it's just going to be a little Porsche battle for the rest of the season, because Neil Keeper and Ryan Parkins very, very similar pace drivers, and they've been nose to tail throughout the entire race. We're now almost 1 hour into the race, only 1 minute to go before we cross past the 2/3 mark. Ryan Parkins currently in 15th position. I'd say he's got the pace for top 10 at the moment. We've still got another pit stop to be made, and there's 30 minutes of racing still to go, so lots can change. But the Season 1 Porsche Club GB Sim Racing champion doing a great job of staying on the tail end of Neil Keeper, and Ryan Parkins for Strasser Porsche Sport dives into the pits right now.
He does. He must feel like this is the time to maybe try and undercut these two if they can keep on battling. If he can get some cleaner, he might know that he can stretch his run to just over 30 minutes and thus just make sure that he can make it to the line. This needs to be the final pit stop. Indeed, still on board with Sam Bentham, still very close behind here, Neil Cooper. And the battle for 13th place here surely ain't going anywhere, because yet again we go. Here we go again, I want to say, because it's been like this This is a deja vu of something we've seen before time and time again. Although this time I want to say Neil Cooper a fair bit closer, but just this long right-hander and Watkins Glen in particular really is taking no prisoners whatsoever. Not a lot of chance to get it wrong without getting it dreadfully wrong. And I think Neil Cooper is having quite a lot of respect for that.
He is indeed, and I'm just thinking there'll be lots of pit stops coming in very shortly because 30 minutes left of the race. And I've got to say, I think that who was it that dived into the pits? I've forgotten who we were looking at the time, but he's not come out of the pits just as yet, so not that I can see. Anyway, Ryan Parkins, no, he has come out of the pits. He's just come way further. He's come back out way further down than I expected. He's right way down in 24th position at the moment. But look how close this is. Daniel Handover on the inside defending from Marc-Antoine Thibault, and he's gonna keep the position just about still side by side. Around the outside, I can hear Hasse holding his breath.
Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff indeed. Oh, what an overtake there for Daniel Handover. Let's have another look at it here. Sends it in, has to keep it all the way around, and good job there for Marc-Antoine Thibault to actually keep the Ferrari on the inside as well. Daniel Handover doesn't want to shut the door, and they keep it round there for another round of fighting. Very clean one indeed, and Daniel Handover up into 22nd place. Anton Dupin saying that he called Diego Hames in early. And there might be a good reason for that. Oh, we're having blinking. Stop that, please. So let's just see here. Jeremy Hessels is coming into the pits. Diego Hames is currently 15th. But still with some time to make up, I believe. And just to take you through it, the top 10, as we're into the final 30 minutes of running. Martin van Loosenoord leading Bram van Putten, his G-Drive teammate, then the two Manatee racing cars of Joop de Ligt and Johnny Verhoef. Mario Juri is in 5th place in front of his teammate Niklas Lass. So it's G-Drive, Manatee, and Sim Racing Academy ×2 as well. Jack Ashton, 7th place for Ford Silla. First of the Ferraris is indeed Ferris Stanley the Monegasque. Robin DeVille 9th for Flemish Sim Sports. And Bud Boland the Manxman is 10th at the moment, although I think he has yet to make his final pit stop. And just outside of the top 10, starting 21st, also yet to have made his final pit stop, though that's gonna put him back a few positions, I think. But climbing through the ranks very well today is Alex Torres.
Is indeed 10 positions up from where he started. Started in P22 all the way, in P21, and he's now up into P11, so a great job from Alex Torres. And like I was saying earlier, Ryan Parkins, he's pitted earlier than anybody else, and he will be able to go to the end. And whether this is something he had in mind before the race even started, but as soon as he's gone into the pits nice and early, he'll have more time to get back into his rhythm, and if he's taken tyres, they will be much warmer than all of his rivals at the moment. So I think Parkins went into the pits in about 16th position, so it'll be interesting to see where he comes back out in relation to Sam Bentham and Neil Cooper. Currently in P12 and 13 at the moment. Those two are still battling, even though they've lost Ryan Parkins and he parted company to go into the pits. Neil Cooper and Sam Bentham still nose to tail. This is the two Sim Racing Academy drivers of Mario Juri and Niklas Lass. They've been glued together the entire race, and I've got to say it's been great driving from the pair of them. Not a single mistake that I've noticed, and they just seem to be following each other's lines, probably learning a bit off each other as well as they go. And this is all they need to do, make sure they don't lose any time, make sure they don't battle too hard, and they just sit off each other, save a bit of fuel as and where they can, and if they continue on, the last 25 minutes of the race will fly by for them, and they're going to pick up 2 great positions.
Oh, I'm afraid we're going to have our hearts broken here, Jack, because Alejandro Garcia de la Mata Torres, he goes straight into the wall. And that's a big impact. And that's probably a pretty lucky time for him. He's going to lose a couple of track positions, but he's going to be able to head straight into the pits at a time where he probably had to take a pit stop anyways to be able to go to the end of the race. He's probably going to have a fast repair here as well. So the time lost for that incident is going to be kept to an absolute minimum, and thus Alex Torres still is going to be able to live to fight another day. But that was a pretty big shunt indeed. I'm going to see if we can catch an onboard look at what happened here. So he just catches a bit of grass, fishtailing, and then it's the soft barriers, but the barriers nonetheless. And he then does well to actually just roll backwards. Just a little bit more to get out of the way of the traffic coming up. He rejoins now in 20th place. So still covered with a couple of pit stops ahead. That's going to happen. Well, that's going to put him ahead. But if it's 20th place on track position for Alex Torres, it's going to be heartbreak.
It will be indeed. Not where he wanted to be. And I'm sure that incident will have knocked his confidence a little bit. Going into the penultimate corner over the next couple of laps. Just learning the corner again, making sure he doesn't make the same mistake. We're looking at Keanu Bourguignon here in the Flemish Sim Sports Porsche under pressure from David Fuller in the Quantum Racing 4GT. Both the drivers have gained positions. David Fuller gained 5, Keanu Bourguignon gained 3. So they are now P16, P17 respectively. And Keanu Bourguignon now the second placed Porsche overall. Daniel Handover the third place Porsche. And somebody who we really do need to keep an eye on going into the closing 25 minutes of the race is Ryan Parkins. He's still down in 21st position for Strasser Porsche Sport, but the number 225, I'm guessing once all is said and done, he will be right up there again, possibly even in P12. We've got Neil Cooper in the bits.
Yeah, Neil Cooper coming in now, and I think that's very much right. That's a good indicator of where he's going to be, and if that's the case for Alex Torres, it's going to be a lucky one indeed here. Diego Hames, remember, he had an early pit stop as well, so he could be a big climber here. There's Neil Cooper is coming in, or is he actually leaving the pits? I think he's actually leaving the pits at the moment. Cesar Jimmy with the ultimate nerd talk, I thought there for a second. Like, shame with how the bias is working out. Do I have problems with my bias? I didn't know that. And by the way, welcome Jimmy. Welcome to all of you. I hope you've been enjoying the show, the racing on display here tonight from Watkins Glen. It's certainly been a great race and a great track indeed. And I feel like, Jack, it's one of those few places in the world, I mentioned this earlier on as well, where the walls are right next to the track, and it is indeed high stakes, high rewards racing here, but it just makes it all the more interesting, doesn't it?
It really does, and I think the drivers have mastered it pretty quickly. We've seen a couple of incidents here and there, but everybody, for the most part, has kept it out of the wall. We're now looking at Mario Yuri, still leading his Sim Racing Academy teammate of Nicholas Last, and I'm guessing, looking at the times that Martin van Loosnoord and Job de Ligt have been doing, I think they will be coming into the pits very shortly, because Bram van Putten, the number 23 G-Drive car, is right the way down in P8 at the moment. So he's taken his second pit stop, the first of the drivers in the top 10 to take the second pit stop. So he's come out in between Ferris Stanley and Robin Deville, but Bram van Putten, he had a nice comfortable margin over Job de Ligt going into the pits. So the lead, or the top 5 at the moment, it'll be interesting to see whereabouts they come out after the pit stops as well. It's all come down to, once again, Hasse, strategy and seeing where you will come out of the pits after you've gone in and served both the mandatory pit stops that you've got to take with that 60% fuel cell. But with still just over 20 minutes of the race to go, it's still all but decided.
It really is, and I feel like for the first time in the race, I was looking down the standings and I didn't really see more than 1 or 2 drivers within real close distance of one another, and then it came to me all of a sudden that, of course, we've got the final round of pit stops. We've got some drivers having been early in, some drivers waiting to do their stops a bit later, and I think all this is going to lead to a lot of battles coming back together for the final 20 minutes of the race, which, to be honest, Jack, is exactly what we want to see here. And Loos Nordsen now, Joop de Ligt, Johnny Verhoef, Mario Yuri, and look at this now, Jack Ashton is going to be making up places, but he of course has yet to make his pit stop as well, and that's going to be a natural explanation for him to be making up these kind of places right now. Otherwise, I would be very surprised to see him running in second place. And might be an opportunity here for Niklas Last actually to get back ahead of his teammate over the course of these stops. And Mario Yuri is out here, Niklas Last out there, so it's as they were coming in here. It's Diego Hames, he's not too far away, and you know what, I think he's gonna get the better of Ferris Stanley. Or is he, the Monegasque, going to be heading out of the pits on just slightly cold tires? I don't expect him to have taken new tires, as I wouldn't expect anyone to have taken new tires here during this race. He'll be on worn rubber by now. But I think Diego Hames just a little too far to get in close. Of course, they are a little slower on the first lap, maybe the first 2 laps, while the tires get back up into their optimal working temperature. And Diego Hames with the classy black and white picture there. I like to see that. David Fuller is in the pits as well at the moment. And actually, funny enough that we have pretty much everyone. Let's see here. Sam Bentham yet to do his second pit stop. And I think that's pretty much about it. Alongside well, Ryan Walker is not exactly running anymore. He's the only one who's only been in once. So, oh yeah, and Jack Ashton, of course, who's in this very moment.
He is indeed. So the number 1 Team Fordzilla driver up into the pit lane at the moment. P4 as things stand. Sam Bentham dives into the pit lane as well. So I'm going to say Jack Ashton will come out in around P7. Still both the SRA cars to go steaming by, Mario Yuri and Nicholas Last. And Ryan Parkins, he's come out quite the way behind Neil Cooper. We've got to remember when he went into the pits, they were nose to tail, and there's now 7 seconds almost between Neil Cooper and Ryan Parkins. So I'm not quite sure what happened to Ryan, whether he overshot his pit box or made a mistake on the outlap. But he's really dropped back now. He's got the attentions of John Barnes for Quantum Racing just behind him. So Ryan Parkins will go to the end here. And as it stands, he is going to stay in this position because Sam Bentham is leaving the pit lane now. Neil Cooper is very far up the road. 5 seconds in front of him is Alex Torres. So Ryan Parkins, quite a rotten pit stop for him, but not necessarily a rotten race because he's gained 2 positions, started in 18th, up into 16th. So not the worst race for Ryan Parkins, but not necessarily what he was looking for with the undercut.
No, not at all. I think it's something that didn't really work out at all for him here. Alex Torres is now 15th, and I think the incident considered, he'll take that as well. And he is just a few seconds off of Neil Cooper, Sam Bentham, and then Pimbao as well. Should be within striking distance of the Spaniard. If he can keep his pace here over the final couple of laps. Still, as you said, also Ferris Stanley and Jack Ashton not too far from one another here. In that battle for P7, still very much a thing for Jack Ashton. Ferris Stanley doing well to get out in front there, and they've got company from Diego Hames as well right behind. Is my voice higher than usual? Is my voice higher than usual? I don't know. Good question, you. If it's like I had an experience once where I was commentating with chat where it sounded all like this, because I think there was some kind of connection issue with the USB port in my microphone, which is a little bit sketchy at times. I had never tried it before, so I was thinking it's just working. That was when I figured, okay, I have to be a little bit careful with it. So it could be for all I know that I have a mousy voice for this broadcast today. If it is that way, or if that's the case, do make sure to have a good laugh about it. And let's see here as Jack Ashton, he's gone into the pits again. What can this be all about?
I'm not quite sure. I was looking at the timing screen and I just saw him go into the pits and drop right the way back. So whether he's had an incident or not, it doesn't say he's left the circuit. It just says he left the pit lane and then he's entered the pit lane. So his outlap has become his inlap. Not quite sure what happened to Jack Ashton, whether he has picked up a drive-through penalty or something of the such, but he's right the way down in P21. So Jack Ashton, who was top 5.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jack. We've got Cammy, teammate of Jack's as well, Cammy Sturge in chat. 40-second holding penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And Jack Ashton, who's had the first proper race, the first race where things has gone his way. I want to say he was well in the top 10, fighting for top 5 position. He's had that well ruined now. He's down into 23rd position. That is so unlucky indeed. You know that it just takes next to nothing for one of these pit speed limits to be broken, and these penalties occur ever so often, and it's ever so frustrating to get it every single time. And yeah, bad luck indeed here. Let's have a check with our leader Martin van Loosenhoort, who's well in the process of lapping on a good bit of the field indeed. That's the Demon Tweaks Porsche, and that's the car of that's the Dynamics Porsche as well. And then, of course, still Bram van Putten, Joop de Ligt, and Johnny Verhoef, who, by the way, ladies and gents, is indeed our championship leader. And it's going to be close, but I think he leads by enough to keep it even with 4th. You know what? I'm not strong enough with maths to start doing that right now. So I'm not even gonna.
We did just see, yeah, like you say, Martin van Loosenhoort working his way through traffic. He was trying to get by Dries Moosdi, and like you said, the next target for him was the Demon Tweaks driver of Daniel Handover, and then he will quickly get on to Keanu Bourguignon. So in theory, that means he will have lapped the bottom half of the field. We've got 37 drivers out at the moment, and Martin van Loosenhoort is currently lapping our driver who is placed in 22nd, so that's a fair chunk of the field, but Martin van Loosenhoort just seems to be head and shoulders above everybody else here. The top 4 haven't lost or gained a single position at the moment, so Martin van Loosenhoort started on pole, currently still in the lead. Bram van Putten started second, still in second. Joop de Ligt, even after dropping way back down the order, up into 3rd position. Johnny Verhoef still in 4th, and then Mario Yori and Nicolas Last, both the Sim Racing Academy drivers, have had a great race. P5, P6 at the moment. Mario Yori gained 4 positions. Nicolas Last has gained 2, both from where they started. And once again, top 6 all BMWs. Then Ferry Stanley is the odd one in the bunch. P7 is the Ferrari. Have we had an incident for Daniel Handover going through the bus stop? Quite a bumpy way around there. Cuts across the grass. I could hear Hasse, like, he was almost clenching himself, getting ready for the big incident, trying to feel it with Daniel Handover. But I'd say he got quite lucky there because he did a great job of slowing it down before the barrier.
Yeah, I was just about to say it looked like he was just gonna get it very wrong indeed. The car was all sorts of out of shape coming into the bus stop there, and I just dreading for the moment that it was gonna snap around him, and that those 911s are tend to do at times, and just smash into the walls. And that would have ended his race effectively. But Daniel Handover is still showing the replay. I get that now. Sorry about that, ladies and gents. He actually gets back the position here against Dries Moody. So that's good stuff indeed. And thanks Cammy, thanks Mew. I do indeed get very excited about this. And I think, you know, I might be Danish. I might be having my flaws in my English here and there, although I know it's not. Well, I'm gonna brush my shoulders for a moment and say that I know it's not a lot, but it is a little bit, you know. But I do get very excited, and I really enjoy the fact that you can feel that I really enjoy this, because I really do. I have so much fun, and whether it's working with Chess, with Jack, or with Peter Mackay on the Sunday GC3 League, being here on Simracersworld TV really is a ton of joy. I think it's been so much fun getting going with it, and on the technical side of things, getting to know our software provided by the brilliant folks over at SDK Gaming Software, that really allows all this overlay to be a possibility in the first place. And it's it has, I want to say, unlimited opportunities and and potential, and I'm not that close to unlocking the entirety of it, but I'm getting better, I'm getting there, and I'm getting to a point where I feel like I can really enjoy myself by now. And doing this commentary work with talented folks such as Jack, when I'm here for this series every fortnight. Jack, it's been such good fun already, and I know it's going to be even more fun with the races we have to come.
It will be indeed. Speaking of the races we have to come, Mosport next week, a circuit I don't even own it just as yet, so I don't know my way around there at all. So the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park will bring something new to the mix. We're currently looking at Daniel Handover, who was defending from Dries Moosty, but he's very much got his hands full with the Team Fordzilla driver of Jack Ashton, who goes straight over at the bus stop, not being able to get his Ford GT slowed down in time. So a breath of fresh air for Dries Moosty, the Dynamics Racing driver. The number 77 has now got rid of the number 1 Ford GT Jack Ashton. We've got to remember he's the reigning champion. He's had good luck, he's had bad luck, and a bit in the middle, and it seems like Watkins Glen has just been the thorn in his side at the moment. Right the way down in P23. Porsche Sport saying a bit of a promo for us. We do a weekly podcast and chat about this championship. So everybody, go over to PorscheSport.com, where I'm assuming it is. Go onto the interviews tab, and you should see everything that Porsche Sport have got on offer there. The weekly podcast with Peter Mackay, I'm sure. Well, please make sure you do go check that out.
And generally I'm sorry, Jack, but I was just going to add to the fact that you should generally go and check out Porsche Sport on all sorts of social media for all things Porsche and racing. You know, very good photo sections, drivers interviews and such. It's really it's a den of golden nuggets, honestly. Here, David Fuller, we're on board with for Quantum Racing, his Ford GT. He is on the tail of the SRW Team Esports BMW of Seb Hebera in the battle for 18th place. And look at the Ford now, really within the slipstream. Seb Hebera, he knows he got to go for the inside. He has to cover it. But look at the straight line speed of the BMW. He's hardly even able to pass. And he isn't even able to pass. And Seb Hebera gets it just right on the brakes there. Beautiful defending from the German. I was just about to say the Austrian, of course. That's not Seb Hebera, that's Mario Yuri indeed. But very good stuff here indeed. And some really good battles. Yet again, we've seen him from end to tail, or from head to tail of the field, from end to tail. That's not going to be a lot of distance, is it? That's just the bottom places had some brilliant racing. And across the field, there was nothing except for that. But no, of course not. Neil Cooper, Alex Torres. Oh, Neil Cooper going a little bit wide there, and I think he is already thinking about defending. Oh, he might have been, but that was a little early indeed. Here he has the company of Alex Torres though in that battle. It's up into 13th place for Cooper. Ryan Parkins is now 15th. Tom Werrell still there in 17th place. Sam Bentham has been the victor actually of this battle between some of these guys that were raging for so long earlier on in the race. He's up into 12th with Pim Bao in 11th and Bud Boland, the Maxman as well. He's up in 10th place, running in the top 10 for Meraki Racing. So a very good drive for him. And he's gained 6 positions since starting 16th. That is very good as well. And just going over our top climbers. Yeah, even with the incident there, Alejandro Garcia de la Matadores, he has gone up 7 places. Jack Ashton's fallen down 18 positions as well, while Paul Gosling in one of the other Paul GTs, Ford GTs, of course. I'm sorry. He's been climbing 11 places, and that's of course for Quantum Racing there in the 41 machine. So we've had drivers who had very, very eventful races indeed, and we've had, for some I think it's been memorable, for others it really hasn't.
Yeah, it's been a pretty much a mixed bag for everybody throughout this evening. It's quite a Marmite track, it turns out. I personally like Watkins Glen, even with my distinct lack of experience around here. I gel quite nicely with Watkins Glen. It's quite a flowing circuit, in my opinion. Some drivers might quite heavily disagree with me, but it seems like the top 4, top 5, possibly even the top 10. Let's just go for that. The top 10 might agree with me, because they're all enjoying the smooth surface, which is Watkins Glen. And we've got to remember, Hasse, this is only the GT Pro race. We've got another 90-minute GTE race tomorrow, and that is the junior version of the GT Pro series. It's the GT Evo series, once again here on Simracersworld TV. Same time tomorrow night with me and Peter Mackay.
With you and Peter Mackay, indeed. Which is entertainment guaranteed right there. And if you're sitting out there thinking, oh, I just feel it itching and burning in my hands and in my feet to get out there and race in the SRW GT series while watching this one, well, if I'm not completely mistaken, there still are spots open. Is that right, Jack?
As far as I'm aware, that's what I've got on my notes. There are still spots available. I'm 90% sure you will probably end up in the GT Evo series, but that doesn't mean you are out of reach for the GT Pro, because the top 8 of GT Evo get promoted to the GT Pro, and the bottom 8 of the GT Pro get promoted to GT Evo. So it's an ever-changing grid from season to season. I'm
actually happy you're saying that as well, Jack, because it's something we haven't really talked about at all, the element of promotion and relegation. And of course, I was referring to the fact that you could be joining the GT Evo series, of course not the GT Pro series, just not to have any false expectations bear my name on them. So on we go here. Pimbao is one of the only drivers who are, oh no, he's of course got the company of Sam Benton right behind. I was reading it wrong, it looked like he was 6/10 off of the top 10, but that's just a few seconds here. It's well within actually the final 5 minutes of racing. And we're going to have another check up here. I think they're going to do 50 laps. I think they're going to do a little more than that as well here, as Martin van Loosenoord passes one of the Flemish SimSports 911s. I think that's Keanu Borgagnon. Indeed it is. As he's now thoroughly past half the field. And Martin van Loosenoord will do a few more laps before he's going to see the checkered flag. I think he can allow himself to start cruising now as well. Whatever degree that means for him, I think that's still a pretty hot pace for most of us mortal drivers out here. But Martin van Loosenoord, another spotless driver, I want to say. Perfect performance so far. Same goes for teammate Bram van Putten, who is going to be in a very good position in the championship as well here. Because our leader, Johnny Verhoef, is in 4th place at the moment, and Bram van Putten is 2nd in the championship. So showing that the moment that consistency is the thing that above all pays. And I think from my head calculations here on from it, that Bram van Putten will indeed be passing Johnny Verhoef. But we're still very early days in the championship, so it's kind of pointless talking too much about the standings. I think, of course, touch upon them before Mosport next round, round 4. That's going to be in 2 weeks' time. And just like Jack, I have absolutely zero experience about the Canadian Tire Motorsports part as well. So maybe we should get together, Jack, sometime within the next 2 weeks and do a few laps on the track.
I think that will probably be a good idea, purely for viewing's sake, because I can't drive at all, hence why I'm up in the commentary box. I've decided just to leave the race cars in the pit lane and let everybody else drive them, because I've got to say I'm not the greatest behind the wheel of one of these cars, but I do agree with you. I think it'll be a good idea just to see what the drivers have got as well, and that does mean that we can bring something else to the commentary box ahead of round 4, just knowing what the drivers will be looking out for, because it's a very undulating circuit from what I've seen on videos. So I think that'll be something we haven't seen massive amounts of. It's very much like Watkins Glen in theory, because it's got undulating corners and things like that, but Mosport, it's got a very, very long back straight, if I'm thinking about the right circuit this is. And then some very tight twisty corners and some very quick undulating corners. So I think it'll be something new for everybody. And once again, just a mix of every circuit that we've seen so far. But then straight after Mosport, we go to Imola, which has just been announced that it's going to be on the Formula 1 calendar this year. So I think that is going to be something that a circuit that a lot of drivers will be looking forward to, because it's a circuit once again that I don't know, but I do know my way around. So I think that'll be quite a good circuit, because it's been showcased here on Simracersworld before in the TCR series, and that proved to be a perfect success, because Imola, very tight and twisty circuit in theory, but with big GTEs, I think it's going to once again throw something new in the mix, and is going to produce for some very close racing.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be great. Imola, seeing it come onto the Formula One calendar again, returning there is just it just brought a big smile to my face. I am really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the race from here as well, and I do agree it's going to be amazing. I'm sorry for laughing while you were talking. It's not I'm not trying to make a ridicule out of you, Jack. And I was just watching I was just reading some of the comments that Cammy put in there a few minutes ago, and that kind of cracked me out. I don't know why. Oh, by the way, indeed, flying under the radar supremely, and I think that goes for the entirety of the top 3 today, but they shall know more, because it's been a brilliant drive from Martin van Loosenoord from G-Drive Racing Eximia, picking up another win ahead of teammate Bram van Putten. It's going to be 3rd, it's going to be 4th for Manatee Racing, with Joop de Ligt and championship leader into this round, Johnny Verhoef, who seemed to be off track awfully quickly there indeed. Mario Yuri coming home for 5th place, with Niklas Last in 6th. And I'm going to take us off the scenic camps for a moment there. The Monegasque Ferris Stanley 7th. Diego Hames just crossing the line there for 8th place. Robin Neville for Flemish Sim Sports, and there it is. The proper Flemish Sim Sports BMW livery. Very good looking indeed. But Boland there, 10th place for the Manx band. Not bad at all. Pimbao St. Bentham, Neil Cooper, and Alex Torres coming home 14th. So gaining 7 places in the end. I don't think he's going to be too unhappy with that, except for the fact that, of course, it could have been a top 10 result for him. Let's cue the post-race music, Jack, and draw a deep breath, because yet again, it's been a round full of action here from Watkins Glen.
It has indeed. 90 minutes of close racing up and down the field, and pretty much dominated by G-Trap again. Martin van Loosenoord and Bram van Putten, P1, P2, and Joop de Ligt in P3, and not quite the result I'm guessing Johnny Verhoef was looking for. Championship leader went into this round, like I said, leading the championship, and he's now finished P4. And I've got to say, I think your maths is spot on there. I said Bram van Putten will overtake him in the championship, but let's rattle you through the results. Martin van Loosenoord for G-Drive Racing Eximia, the number 20 car, crosses the line overall P1, winning the race, like I said, overall, and winning the Platinum class 13 seconds ahead of his G-Drive teammate Bram van Putten. Joop de Ligt across the line P3 to round out the overall podium and the Platinum podium for Manatee Racing. Then another Manatee Racing car, Johnny Verhoef, finished P4, and then we get to do once again another pairing of teammates. Mario Yuri P5 and Nicholas Last P6. Ferry Stanley crossed the line in P7, another pairing of teammates. Flemish Sim Sports go this time. Diego Hames across the line P8, followed by Robin DeVille P9. Bod Boland rounds out the top 10 for Meraki Racing, then Pimbao in 11th. Sam Bentham crossed the line in P12, followed by Neil Cooper 13th, Alejandro Garcia de la Matadores in P14. Ryan Parkins crossed the line P15, quite a good race from Ryan, kept it clean. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do at Mosport. John Barnes across the line P16. Sebastian Herbert crossed the line in P17. David Fuller finished 18th. Keanu Bourguignon 19th. Jack Ashton rounds out your top 20 for Team Ford Silla after an unfortunate penalty. Daniel Handover across the line in P21. Dries Muji 22nd. Marc-Antoine Thibault in 23rd. Paul Gosling 24th. Carl Sharkey 25th. Jeremy Hessels in 26th. Bart Delman in P27. Javier Rodriguez in P28. And I think we've got a couple more to go. We do indeed. Lee Deemer P29, Tom Methel in 30th, Dean Timms in 31st, Ryan Walker 32nd, Austin Greatorex 33rd, Rutger Vijnen in P34, Matthias Temi in P25, Martin van Reewijk in P36, and Sebastian Hawkins, I don't think he completed 6 laps of the... No, he did complete 6 laps of the race, but that was all he completed, retiring very early on for Abruzzi Esports and finishing P37.
So indeed, that's brilliant stuff there, Jack. That's the result for you after another great race here from the Simracersworld GT Pro Series, brought to you by Strasse Porsche Sport Abruzzi and Dynamics. Of course, without any of those, it wouldn't be possible. And in the end, now we're waiting for our top 3 drivers to appear. A wild Martin van Loosenoord has appeared in the interview waiting room. And Jack Werrell is going to be right there to talk to him.
I will indeed. So Martin van Leeuwenhoek, welcome to the commentary box. A dominating win for you again, led from lights to flag, and it seemed like you just had the circuit hooked up. You were pretty much quicker than everybody else out on circuit for the majority of the race. I think the only person, I know you did set the fastest time as well by a fair margin. You were the only driver to get into the 1 minute 40 mark. So I'm guessing you're quite confident around here?
Hi guys. Yes, Watkins Glen is one of my favorites. Back in the days, I had a chance to win in the Pro Series with the FW31. But as I led that race, I sent it into the wall. So that was not a good idea. So this is basically a little revenge of nailing the track, I think.
Well, you did a great job nonetheless, and you lapped pretty much half the field, I think even more than that, going into the final lap of the race. So yeah, it definitely shows that this is one of your favourite circuits. Previously, we've seen you helping your teammate Bram van Putten around the circuit for a lot of the race, just nose to tail, making sure both of you can save a bit of fuel here and there. Was that off the cards this time, or was it just Bram simply couldn't keep up with you?
I'm not sure. I have to talk with Bram. How one thing he had to defend from Joep and Johnny. So you have to take different lines, and if you're losing a few tenths and you're getting out of the slipstream, every little mistake is is giving you a few more seconds and or tenths, and all those tenths are basically the amount of seconds that he's behind me at the moment. So I think he's been defending from Joep and Johnny, who were really quick this race, and that was basically the reason that he's 12-13 seconds behind me. So yeah, we were not really looking how do you say that, to work together and finish 1-2 of with one. But yeah, this is just how it went.
Well, nonetheless, a great result for you both. Once again, both of you on the podium. Next week for round 4, we go to Mosport. Is that a strong circuit for you?
Mosport. Mosport. What track was that again?
It's Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's
yeah, I think I know that track.
Yeah, quite an
but I
undulating.
haven't driven on it. I haven't driven on it that much, so I do have to put some practice laps in there and see how it goes. But the BMW suits me quite well, and yeah, that will all go. That will be all right on the track, I assume.
I'm sure it will be, and we'll look forward to seeing you there in 2 weeks' time. And we're excited to see what you can do behind the wheel of that, what seems to be a very quick BMW so far this season. Any final words from you, Hasse?
No, not at all. I think you covered it brilliantly there.
Well, while we've got you in the box, Martin, and on the stream, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Scott Andrews for helping out with the setup, Bram for putting in work, and the rest of the team for being there when needed. Thank you guys for covering this series, and the admins of the SRW league.
No problem at all, and thank you very much for joining us in the box, and well done once again. But we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Motorsport Park.
See you in 2 weeks, guys. Bye-bye.
Indeed, and that was Martin van Leeuwenhoek. We're going to have a chat with our third place finisher, Joep de Ligt. And Joep, welcome to the booth. Thanks for joining us here post-race for the interview. Really good result, third again. I want to say it's been consistent for you. It's looking good for you both team-wise and personally in the championships. What are your thoughts on third place after this race here?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Did you just say third again? Because I'm pretty sure I didn't get a third place so far. This is my first podium in the series.
Okay. I might be wanting to go get my memory checked then. But you're indeed up there in the standings.
Yeah, I guess I am now. I mean, this was supposed to be like my redemption track. Yeah, the first 2 races weren't really that great for me. Primarily just messing up by myself. I still think we were in the wrong car for the first race, but yeah, there's not much you can do about that at that point. But yeah, it was supposed to be my redemption track, and I think I was closer to Bram and Martin than I have been before. It just unfortunate mistake. Just lost it a little bit on the entry to the final corner there, and yeah, as you know, if you brake with just a little bit of your tire on the grass there, you are gone and you're along for the ride.
So lucky not to have gotten off worse in the end. I was talking to Jack before the race, and we were expecting quite a number of incidents for this one, and I think we actually didn't see that many. Do you think that most of the drivers were well aware that it's a track where incidents occur quite often here at Watkins Glen?
I would hope so, yeah. I mean, if you put your practice into this track, then you're gonna find quite a lot of off tracks that are quite easy to get, especially if you're pushing for lap times. To be honest, I haven't really been focusing on a lot of what was going on in the rest of the field. I know there were some issues for my teammates, but well, if you say it was a clean and good-looking race, then I'm happy it was.
Well, for the most part. Let's say for the most part. There was a few incidents, but it was nothing absolutely huge. And actually, Rutger had one of the biggest incidents of the race where he came up in.
I heard about that.
Turn 3, that little bit of wall that sticks out. He just grazed it. The car got out of control and he lost it there. And then he got hit by one of the Flemish Simsports BMWs. So that was actually one of the biggest incidents of the race. And it was, in quotation marks, only, it was kind of only 2 cars in that incident. So anyways, one final question before I'll leave you with the shout outs, Joop. What are your expectations for 2 weeks time at Mosport?
My expectations are I'm gonna have to put a hell of a lot of time into that track. It's a good track, it's a great track, but I have very little experience there with anything other than like Skippy's or a GT3 car. So it's gonna take a lot of time for preparation, and I'm fairly confident we can come up with a good setup and get some good lap times in there, and hopefully be even closer to Rømer and Martin than I was here.
Right, and before I let you go from the booth here, is there anyone we can give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course, a big shout out to my team, the guys in the Discord, always hanging out and supporting us. Also, a big sorry for Rutger and Johnny about what happened to them. Yeah, and of course, you guys for always putting on a great broadcast for all of us to replay until 3 a.m. in the morning.
Indeed. Well, thanks for joining us here as well, Joop, and hope to see you again at the head of affairs in 2 weeks' time at Mosport.
I hope so too. Thank you so much, guys.
Cheers. And with that, we're going to go on to another interview. It's going to be Jack Werrell taking a short word with Seb Hebera.
So welcome to the commentary box. I did see your message in chat asking where you finished on in class. Looking at it, you finished P8 in class, but I'm pretty sure that's provisional because there are a couple of drivers which we did need to change around. So it could possibly be, looking at it, you could be P6 in class. I will get that confirmed for you as soon as I can. But nonetheless, a great race overall. You gained 3 positions from where you started, which in itself is a good achievement. How did that go for you? Because it was a circuit which either some drivers loved or some drivers hated. It you were sort of floating in the middle for a lot of that.
Yeah, I lost, I think, 6 or 8 positions at the start because I was extremely cautious and everyone else wasn't. So I don't know, I lost a lot of spots, and then there was a little incident in front of me and I slowed down and lost another 3. So I'm pretty happy with where I finished in the end. Yeah, and a lot of people just spun out in front of me, so that also helped. But I had some good fights and some good overtakes. It was fun.
It did look like a good race from what we saw. Anyway, going into Mosport, we spoke to Van Loosnord about it, and he said it's a circuit that he doesn't really know at all. And then we've just had Job de Ligt in the commentary box as well, and he says he only really knows it in a Skip Barber in a GT3 car. What does most sport mean to you? Is it a circuit you're confident at? Is it a circuit you don't know your way around? Or like, what is your perspective going into round 4?
Well, I know the corners, but not in a GTE. Also, I raced it in GT3, and it's a tricky track. It takes a lot of I don't want to say skill, that sounds so elitist, but you have to be careful there. There are a lot of tricky questions where the car gets light, where the back tries to step out, so it's gonna be interesting. And it's not a good overtaking track.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it's going to be quite tricky because it's very undulating, and there used to be a while ago, back from when I first got onto iRacing, there was a part of turn 2 where they'd relayed tarmac, and they seemed to unsettle the car quite a lot. But whether that's still an issue now, I'm not 100% sure. But going into that round, is it a circuit, like you say, you know your way around it, but you're not like massively out there with the circuit? And with you being the lone Simracersworld esports car out on circuit, how's that going to go? Oh, sorry, you've got Bart Delman with you. Of course you do.
Yeah. Don't forget Bart.
Yeah, we didn't see much of Bart throughout the race, funnily enough, if you couldn't tell. But is that something that you and Bart are going to focus on over the coming weeks, just making sure you've got the cars dialed in and hoping for some slightly better results?
Yeah, I didn't manage much training for Watkins, and it showed. So I'm going to try to put a bit more time into Mosport to get some speed there, to get really competitive for my ability level, and maybe shoot for my usual P10 to P15 spots. I was a little bit off today.
Well, we couldn't tell. It seemed like you were on the pace for a lot of it, and I'll look forward to seeing what you can do with all this extra practice that you've promised on stream. We heard you say it on stream, so you've got to do it now. You've got to do it now, going into Mosport. But
now there's expectations.
We'll look forward to seeing you at Mosport. But while we've got you in the box, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, today I want to shout out to Marc-Antoine Thibault, because I punted him in the beginning of the race and I feel so bad about this. And to Dave Fuller, because so far he's the only guy in this race and overall who I managed to go side by side through the bus stop without crashing. I don't know if you guys seen that, but that's awesome. And shout out to all the other drivers. Thank you for taking part in this league. It's awesome. I love it. I hope you have as much fun as I do. And you too, guys. Thank you for doing the broadcast.
No problem at all. And we both have great fun commentating on it. Any final words from you, Hasse?
No, yet again, not at all.
Well, thank you very much for joining us in the box, Seb, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Mosport.
Yeah, see you then.
But I do have something to add now, and that was brilliant interviews there from Jack Werrell. And with that, we've reached the concluding moments of tonight's broadcast. Of course, if you've liked what you've seen, do leave it a like, because it really helps us grow. It really helps us gain a wider audience, if you will. If you want to see more, you know where the subscribe button is. And if you want to stay notified, remember to hit the bell icon as well. With that said, my name is Hasse Rømer. I've been joined by Jack Werrell for this SRW GT Pro Series broadcast from Watkins Glen. It has been a great race. It has been my utmost of pleasures taking you through it. And with that said, I think all there remains to be said is until next time, take care, have fun, and do join us in 2 weeks' time for the 4th round of action from Mosport Park. So until then,